It's Monday, September 22nd, 2025. Let's get right into the news today. A lot of things happening, and I want to start with the first one. Gold and silver prices are absolutely exploding. Gold today up nearly $70 an ounce, sitting at $3,760 an ounce. $3,760 an ounce as I make this video. Silver over $1 today, sitting at around $44.27 as I make this video. So we are seeing gold at all-time highs, and I think we're going to see silver break its all-time high also. And this should be a warning sign to everybody out there that things are breaking apart, especially the US dollar. The world is losing confidence in the dollar. The economy is much worse than we're being told. Inflation much worse than we're being told. The labor crisis much worse than we're being told. Gold and silver see it, and they are alerting us that things are breaking. And, to the people out there, who are completely against me recommending gold and silver, people had a real issue with me recommending SD Bullion as a reputable place to buy your gold and silver from, which the only place I've been using for nearly 8 years now. I wonder how these people feel now, because they've been wrong yet again. They're always wrong. I don't know about you. From what I can see right now, gold and silver has a long way to go. This is just the beginning, in my opinion. And this is why I talk about it on a daily basis, why it's important to me, because this is the kind of stuff you're going to need to get through the tough times. You're going to need real money like gold and silver. And I know there's a lot of people out there that are going to say, I don't have any money now, I spent it all, I didn't listen. I don't know what to say to those people. But to the people out there that do have some monopoly money and you want to convert it into some real money and protect the wealth that you have, maybe not a bad idea to go to the link down below, SD Bullion, and get yourself a couple ounces of gold or silver or both. Because to me, this is probably the second inning where we're at right now in the metals market. This is just the beginning. And many of you see the writing on the wall. Things are going to get much, much worse. And as they do, as they cut rates, and as soon as all the QE comes back, and then maybe in 2026 they get panicked and they begin cutting rates more frequently, then this stuff is going to go crazy, and the dollar is getting crushed. You're looking at what is happening to your US dollar right now. This is why gold is going way up. The world is worried about what's happening to America. They're ditching the dollar. They don't want dollars. This is just reality. And to the people out there who thought that gold was going to 800 and silver was going to $8, here's the reality. These prices are going much higher. You either have them or you don't. And things are going to get much more chaotic, period. The metals are telling us that right now. You can look at a manipulated stock market. You can look at manipulated data and charts all day. But one thing that is flashing red right now is the gold market. So pay close attention to it. One thing as we're talking about metals, and maybe somebody will have the answer here for me, but what are the implications of the U.S. repricing the so-called 8,000 tons of gold that we have in Fort Knox, which it's never been audited? Whatever happened to that, we don't know. So who knows what we have. But what would the implications be of repricing that 8,000 tons of US gold that may not be there versus China's 50,000 tons, 30,000, 60,000, who knows? It's a lot. And we know theirs is there. And it's probably well over 30,000 tons. It's probably more like 50 or 60,000 tons. What would the implications be if we reprice? What happens to all the gold that China's holding that we know for a fact is there? Comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on that. Wall Street Journal. Black Swan manager sees huge rally, then 1929 style crash. Mark Spritznagel's hedge fund has earned bonanzas in market collapses. What are your thoughts on this? Is he right? Are we going to see another huge rally and then boom, the bottom falls out? Very, very possible. Be ready for any black swans out there. Here's one from the economiccollapse.com. Can you guess the number of economic challenges that Americans believe they're facing in 2025? Interesting article. I highly recommend, if you get a few minutes, go and do your due diligence, do your own homework, and come to your own conclusion. Americans are going deep into debt in a desperate attempt to stay afloat. it wasn't that long ago, people were going broke just trying to look rich. Now they're going broke just trying to stay afloat, just paying the electricity bill and the grocery bill. Half of Americans right now are worrying about their debt every day. That's how bad this is getting. People are worrying about how they're going to pay their bills. As economic conditions deteriorate, it is only going to get worse. You know that, I know that. You know, it's easy to tell people to get out of debt. It's easy to have the solution. But when 70, 80% of American workers are working paycheck to paycheck, the savings rate is below 5%, how do you get out of debt? How in the world do you get out of debt? Taxes go up, inflation's going up, everything's going up. But how do you get ahead when everything that you earn is going to the bills right now, and 70, 80% of what you earn is, 70 to 80% of people out there are paycheck to paycheck. And literally every dime that they earn is going to just paying bills. Many are losing jobs. Spouses have lost jobs. Right here in the article, 17 trucking and logistic companies alone in the second quarter of 2025 have went bankrupt. Long-haul truckload demand has plummeted 25% in the first half of 2025. That is not a good sign for the U.S. economy. The largest mall in San Francisco, we talked about this the other day, 93% empty. 1.4 million square feet of commercial real estate. And this is going to be just more commercial mortgages going bad, which is going to put more financial institutions, more regional banks in hot water. You know, I watch some of these reaction videos online, and you know, people make these videos talking about how they just cannot make it. They're falling behind. They're living in their cars. They're sleeping in their vans. They're homeless. It is really, really a wake-up call to just how bad things are getting in America and the condition that we're in as a country. You know, because not long ago, we would see so many videos of people just, you know, bragging about what they were eating, what they were drinking, where they were vacationing. And now there's more videos of people sleeping in their cars, sleeping in, you know, in RVs, homeless, losing jobs, talking about their economic nightmares, how they're falling behind on the house payments. So we're in very, very big trouble, and it's very, very obvious. This is not going to be any shock to anybody out there watching this video and the whole bottom falls out. The question is, how bad is it really going to be? Nobody really knows. We have never seen bad times in America, and we're going to see them. Here's another one today. Priced out of traditional housing, more Americans are living in RVs. This was an interesting article on CNBC. A woman, in this article, lost her daycare job that she had in her home, and she loses the business, and then from there she loses the 4-bedroom home and moves into a 175 square foot RV with her 2 young kids. This is the transition. This is the new world we're now seeing in America, where you'll have nothing and you will not be very happy. You know, it talks about how these people are living in campgrounds. Look, you don't live in campgrounds for free. It's $25 to $45 a night to stay at a campground with your RV. So a lot of people stay at federal lands and parks where it's free, but there's no power, there's no water, and not very good internet at these parks. So hard to survive when you don't have power, when you don't have water. You know, people's lifestyles, just like this woman in the article, in the CNBC article, going from a 4-bedroom home, roof over her head, even a business, and losing it all, living in a dilapidated 175 square foot RV. This was not a nice RV. But we are watching more people forced into a lifestyle they never thought they would ever be living in. And I remember a long time ago when people would laugh when we would do videos about people living in RVs and homeless people, and people would laugh at these people, and they ain't laughing now. In 2023, the Consensus Bureau found an estimated 342,000 people living in RVs, boats, and vans. That is an increase of 41% from 2019. That is alarming. Things are definitely much worse now in 2025. They're going to get much worse in 2026. And, you know, a lot of people think that the RV life is cheap, that, you know, oh, just, you know, go buy an RV. First off, you go buy a new RV, they're not cheap. Secondly, you have to insure them, you've got to replace tires, you've got maintenance on them, you've got overhead, you know, where you're going to park it, you have to pay for parking, all that stuff. Things break. They have refrigerators, they have water, they have things that wear and tear, and they have to be repaired. And RVs were not built for extreme weather. They weren't built to be out here in the desert year-round. They weren't built for people to be living in year-round. Again, you have tires that need to be replaced, generators wear out, toilets break, refrigerators break. This can be a major financial trap for a lot of people who think that, you know, it's going to just be much, much cheaper to live in an RV. I see a lot of people living in RVs out here in the desert, and they don't have air conditioning. They don't even have running water. They're completely dilapidated. A lot of them don't even have tires. They're just parked somewhere, and people just live in them. It's just a roof over their head. And I guess it's one step above being homeless, at least having a roof over your head. But how people do it, especially out in these conditions, I have no idea. Article today talking about Disney World in Florida empty as American tourism is finished in Florida. I think a lot of tourism in the United States of America is finished. The state tourism, or the state of tourism in this country, is no doubt collapsing. Look at Las Vegas, another example. What's happening in Las Vegas is clearly evident of what is happening with the U.S. economy, and people just don't have the discretionary spending to go and gamble, drink, and eat, and get a $400 room in Vegas. Those days are over. Fewer and fewer people are able to do that. But watching some of these videos in the past week of Vegas and Disneyland or Disney World, really, really quiet. Even Disneyland in Anaheim, I saw a video on that. Very, very quiet. They were talking about Disney World, how you can walk right through, go right to the front of to these rides. There's hardly any lines. The most popular rides you can walk right up to and get on. Labor Day weekend, they said, was absolutely dead. So what's the problem? Well, the problem is the economy's horrible, and just like Las Vegas, Disneyland, Disney World, and many, many more, the prices have gotten absolutely ridiculous. And people no longer, not that they don't want to, they would pay for it in a heartbeat. They can't. They're out of money. They're tapped out. The easy money, the free money is gone. And now people are much more conscious of where they're spending money because they have a lot less of it. Another article today, I'll end with this one. Cyber attack that crippled major airports could be a test for something bigger. What are your thoughts? So the airports, the two airports in Texas, what just happened with the European airports, no doubt something much, much bigger is happening. And just like we are watching what's happening in gold prices and silver prices, pay attention to that. We need to be paying attention to events like this because, again, just like gold and silver is a red flag for the economy, what we're seeing happening with these airports is a red flag for a major cyber attack that is coming to America and the world. There are going to be entities that literally shut down not just the United States, but parts of the world. And they're going to freeze it up financially, shutting down banks and financial institutions, and just seizing commerce where people just can't buy and sell. Think about what that's going to look like here in the United States of America. If you think that things aren't already dangerous enough here in America, shut the power down, shut the ability to buy and sell in America, and watch what happens when people get hungry. So, you know, people used to laugh at this stuff a few years ago. They're not laughing now because it's very, very serious business. And you need to treat this like very, very serious business. You know, people will say, oh, it's doom and gloom. So what? We should just ignore it, and we should just be aware that there's major problems, major threats to our lives, to our finances, to our assets and our families, and we should just ignore it because it's doom and gloom. I go the other way. I go the other road. I see a problem and I figure out how are we going to fix this, how are we going to prepare for it. I don't just ignore it. It needs to be fixed. We need to be prepared for when that day arises, when that problem hits. We need to have a plan in place for it. So that's why you have to be prepared mentally, physically, spiritually, and financially, because we're going to see problems across the board. If you're watching the news like I am and watching the amount of crime in this country, if you're watching the amount of stores that are closing up, if you're just watching the mentality of people, many of them are just out of their minds. This is what you're going to be dealing with when the lights go out, when there's no food, when inflation's running rampant and whatever money people have, it just isn't buying anything. but yet, maybe your goal is $10,000 an ounce, but think about the world you're living in. And I think we really need to sit back and really think about the world we're living in right now and the world we're going to be living in tomorrow, because I don't think anything is going to be able to stop what is coming. I think that we're just being warned right now, but I think this tsunami is approaching very rapidly, and it is going to be absolutely monstrous. And the people who look, there's two types of people who are prepared and people who are not prepared. And the ones that have the better chance of surviving are the ones that are prepared, period. And the ones that may prosper and flourish are the ones that are prepared. There's no guarantees. There's nothing that's 100% foolproof. But don't you think it's a good idea to maybe put some of the odds in your favor? You just don't drive your car down the road without insurance, right? You have insurance before you drive away from your home. You just make certain preparations. Nobody prays for an accident. But if an accident takes place, you have insurance. You better start thinking about insurance right now, ladies and gentlemen, because there is an accident coming. Guarantee you that. I'm going to leave it there today. God bless every one of you. Thanks for tuning in. Please like, share, subscribe. I'm out of here. God bless.